Hey, I'm John. Welcome to Mr. G's Workbench. Thanks for stopping in. Before we get started, I just wanted a quick shout out. Thank you to my over 3,600 subscribers. I appreciate all of you. I honestly do. It's very flattering that you would subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate the support you're providing just by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all very much. And a big thank you to my channel member family. That's their names right there. They've gone above and beyond in their support of the channel. It's very much appreciated. And if you're at all interested in becoming a channel member, you can hit the join button at the bottom there. It's $1.99 US a month, and it helps to cover all the expenses of building models for the channel. So again, thank you guys very much. So all that out of the way, we were supposed to do a build video for the 1/48 scale RF-51D in Korean war markings from Eduard today. And we were so close to the end, as you can see from the video. And it did not come together the way I wanted to. I thought I would just do a breakdown of this and see if there's any parallels between my experience and what some of you may have had as well with these kits. So to start out, it was hard to build this kit. I got the Korea boxing, which gives you two Mustang kits from Eduard. One's an RF-51D, which is what we were going to build, and the other's an F-51D fighter. I decided on building the plane called Little Lynn, piloted by a guy out of Dallas, and I had a couple of good reference photos to go with it, which you can see here. So I was like, great. Started in on the build, and the first thing, this was my first experience with an Eduard Mustang, and to be honest, I found the construction of the cockpit overly complex. I mean, it's easy to compare to the Tamiya kit. Tamiya kit with far fewer parts is giving you what I feel for what you can see down into the cockpit after you finish. Tamiya is giving you a comparable level of detail with far fewer parts. So that's my opinion. I found the cockpit assembly a little overly complex. Got through it. I put the two fuselage halves together, and I thought they went together well, but apparently I had an alignment issue somewhere along the ways. That wouldn't become apparent until a little later in the build. I was working on the intake that's underneath the wing, and that was when I realized there was an alignment issue. There's a smaller intake that sits like a flap that sits on the center of that intake, and it wasn't lined up right, and it seemed like no matter what I did, it wouldn't sit properly. The next issue I had with that area was when I went to put the actual face of the intake on, there was a gap on one half of that intake. So obviously things didn't line up properly. My solution, the only fix I could come up with, was I put some CA over the joints, sanded it back, and then rescribed everything. And my rescribing skills are mediocre at best. So I wasn't too thrilled with how it looked, but I pressed on. When I went to put the windscreen on, I dropped the instrument panel in place. I wasn't too happy with the overall look of the cockpit, so I decided to close up the canopy. When I went to put the actual canopy on, that's when I realized that I also had an alignment issue on top of the fuselage. And you can still see in the pictures here, the canopy, no matter what I did, if it sat on the two rails that were molded into the sides, it was off center. So I worked with what I had. I got it lined up as best I could, taped it down so that I could glue it in place. And when I removed the tape that I used to hold it down while the glue set, I could see there were stress cracks radiating up from the base of the canopy on both sides. So I was a little frustrated with that, but what are you going to do? Theoretically, could have popped the canopy off, put another one on, but I really kind of glued that shit on really well. So I said, let me just press on with it. At this point, I'll be happy to just finish it up nicely. got that canopy on, did all the masking, finished the build of the plane. The rest of the plane goes together like a charm. I really like the wings and the main geared bay detail. Everything went together well. Got to paint, and this is where I'll call it. This is on me. Anything paint related is obviously my fault. So you can see the plane has red wingtips and a black and OD anti-glare panel. I decided to paint those first, mask them off, and I primed the entire plane with Mr. Surfacer Black 1500. After I sprayed it, I rubbed the whole plane down with a 3000 grit sanding sponge so that it'd be smooth. In the past that worked for me. This time was not meant to be. I sprayed AK Extreme Metal Aluminum, different shades of aluminum over the plane, and when I was done I found that I had an irregular finish on the aluminum areas. It looks like the parts closest to the wingtips where the red had been sprayed previously, that section had a different reaction to the paint than the untouched parts. I don't know what happened. So I had an irregular finish over the aluminum. It looked like shit, to be honest. I sanded it back with the again with the 3000 grit sanding sponge just to smooth it all out, so that I could go back and put another coat of aluminum over the whole thing. That kind of helped. I still had a bit of a regular finish on the paint, and all the stuff I had planned on doing kind of went out the window with that. I started applying the Eduard decals, got those on, and this is where I got a little too clever for my own good. I went to remove the clear carrier from the Eduard decals, and I've done it in the past and it worked just fine. That was, again, not meant to happen on this. When I went to remove the clear carrier from the serial numbers on the sides of the fuselage, well, on the port side in particular, I wound up, I was beginning to scrape the paint. So I stopped. I managed to peel that one off. I got one other one off on the left tail, and that was it. And my problems from there just spiraled. After that, the photo etch sway braces on the wing mounts for the tanks, they started popping off. I found them a couple of times and put them back. Then I lost two of them to the carpet monster. That was that. So I didn't press on with that. The next thing that I did was break off the loop antenna on the upper fuselage. I broke that off, glued it back on. I put a clear coat on the whole plane so that I could do a panel line wash and some weathering. After putting on, I put a coat of VMS satin on and rubbed it down. When I went to apply I used an oil wash on the fuselage. When I went to wipe off the excess oil wash, I started wiping off the aluminum paint. So obviously I did not put enough clear on the finish. Lesson learned there. I needed 2 coats of clear at a minimum before I did the panel line wash. Again, that whole finish thing, that's on me. So lesson learned. So that was where everything ended. I learned a few lessons. What I would do differently on the next one is I would do the AK Extreme metal paints first. They're resistant to tape, so I would have painted the whole plane in the various shades of aluminum. Then I might have clear coated after that before I did decals or painted the wingtips or any of that. So that's the way I would approach the next one. So that was a lesson learned. The photo etch sway braces, I wouldn't even bother with them the next time, to be honest. They were really small. They just kind of begging to pop off when you put them on. So I wouldn't bother with those. In all honesty, I wouldn't bother with photo etch details in the cockpit on the Eduard plane. I would have used, next time I would just use the decals for the instrument panel and for the side panels. Obviously you have to use the photo etch detail for the boxes behind the seat on the Korean War version. So again, lessons learned. The clear parts, the canopy and the windscreen, they seem very sensitive to pressure. That's where I got those stress cracks developed from. So I'd be more careful with that. And again, the alignment issues, I would be very aware of keeping everything lined up when you get the fuselage put together. So there you have it. Hopefully you got something out of this anyway. I just wanted to try and have a fitting conclusion to this build. Apologies that it's not a real build. Next time, I promise we'll actually build something and build it right. I need to work on my natural metal finishes. So that being said, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. If you got anything out of this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. That's the fuel that pushes this channel out to the front page of other model builders like yourself. So again, thanks for stopping by, and I promise we'll do better next time. But I felt that for the sake of intellectual honesty, I had to show you what happened. So thanks again for stopping in. I'll see you next time. Take care, stay well, and keep building models.